Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to discuss on equivalent circuit and phasor diagrams of synchronous motor. So we have understood in the previous video that synchronous motor can be categorized into two types based on the construction of its rotor. First one is called as a non-salient pole or smooth cylindrical rotor type synchronous motor. The other one is a salient pole synchronous motor. So we have seen the construction and also understood the principle of working. So two important pointers we would like to recall. Three-phase AC supply is given to the stator, which is the armature, and DC supply is given to the rotor. So this particular motor works on doubly fed electricity. So two supplies are required for successful operation of this motor. So keeping these points in mind, let us have a look at electrical equivalent circuit, because only if we have electrical equivalent circuit we can apply Kirchhoff laws, and then we can analyze the technical aspects of it. So here is a diagram of cylindrical rotor construction, which is a smooth cylindrical type. So we can observe that in this particular diagram, the air gap between the stator and rotor is uniform throughout the periphery. Okay, if the air gap is uniform, then the flux will be uniform. Okay, if the air gap is uniform, flux will be uniform. So throughout the air gap, flux is uniform. Please keep this point in mind. Now, whenever there is a winding and we are giving AC supply, there will be inductance associated with it. So in DC motors, whenever we applied the Kirchhoff laws for the equivalent circuit, there we had ignored the effect of reactance, because in a DC supply the inductive reactance becomes 0, thus the inductance will be 0. But we cannot ignore that when we are dealing with the AC supply. So armature windings will have reactance, because the AC supply which we are using is continuously changing its polarities. So there is a frequency associated with it. So please keep this point in mind. We cannot ignore the effect of reactance when we are dealing with the AC supply. So now this is the electrical equivalent circuit of a non-salient pole synchronous machine. So let us see what are the terms here. V is the supply voltage, and Ia is the armature current. So here we are not considering the effects of field side. We are transferring all the field side components, that is the DC supply given, DC current flowing in the field, and the flux of the field in the air gap is by a separate source. The whole system can be referred to the stator side, because what happens is there is a DC supply given, there is a magnetic field created, and it is rotating. It induces a EMF in a stator side. So we are considering only that aspect for our analysis. Rest of the things for the time being we are not considering. So because of the field winding or the supply given to the field, a EMF is induced in the stator armature. So whether it is working as a generator or motor, this EMF will be induced. Okay, so here this is like a back EMF of a DC motor. So we can call this as a counter EMF. So that EMF is represented by EF, and it is sinusoidal in nature. So it is shown as a AC supply. To the stator terminals, we are giving a AC supply, which is shown as V, and the armature current. Okay, so the direction of this current is from the supply towards the motor. So the direction is reversed here. Okay, so the direction is like this. Please make a note of this. So from the supply, armature current flows in the armature windings. Since it is a winding and a conductor, there is a resistance associated. Now, the reactance is because of the magnetic field both by stator and rotor. Okay, so that is why this reactance is not called as armature reactance. Instead, this is called as synchronous reactance. So the reactance of a equivalent reactance of a synchronous machine is called as a synchronous reactance. So let us see the terminologies. So EF is the counter EMF because of the excitation voltage. So this EMF is induced in the stator winding because of rotor field. Next, V is the terminal phase voltage applied to the stator. So we are dealing with a three-phase circuit, but this is a per phase equivalent circuit. Okay, so V is the phase voltage. IA is the armature current per phase drawn from the supply. RA is the effective armature resistance per phase. XS is the synchronous reactance per phase. ZS, this is armature impedance per phase, which is the vector sum of RA and XS. Okay, because we know that whenever we are applying laws to the AC circuits, complex terminologies arises, and resistance and reactance current will not be in phase. There will be a lag. So to find the effective impedance, we have to go for vector sum of this R and X. So this is given as ZS, which is armature impedance per phase. Now if we apply Kirchhoff's voltage law to this particular circuit, which we are calling it as a equivalent circuit. So if we apply KVL here, so V is the voltage, supply voltage. So algebraic sum of supply should be equal to algebraic sum of drops. So it is equal to EF, because EF is the counter EMF, it is opposing the cause of producing it. So this is the polarity. So IA plus ZS. Okay, so this is the voltage equation. So let us split that ZS, the overall armature impedance, with respect to the known terms, that is armature resistance and synchronous reactance. So if you want to split this ZS, we can write it as RA plus JXS. So this whole equation is not an algebraic equation. So this equation is in the vector form. That means it has both direction and magnitude. So that means we can find the magnitude from this, and also we can find the phase angle. Okay, so this is the equation. So now I am rearranging this equation to find out what is this EF. Okay, so EF is equal to V minus IA RA minus J XS. Now using this equation, we will try to draw the phasor diagram for a synchronous motor. So we are dealing with non-salient pole synchronous machine now. Okay, so this equation, so we will first use V as a reference and then use IA, then find out these terms, draw the phasors, then find what is EF. So from the phasor diagram, we are finding what is EF now. Okay, so let us see the phasor diagram. So instead of showing the diagram, I'll draw it here manually. So this might take some time, but please observe this with the proper concentration. Do not skip any part of this. So here I have retained the equation, that is V minus IARA minus J IAXS. This gives us EF. So I'll take V as the reference now. So in the phasor diagram, I am taking a phasor. I'll consider this point as the origin and I'll draw a phasor V. So this should be drawn parallel to the x-axis. So I'll call this as phasor V. Okay, so this is the supply voltage. or the terminal voltage. So let me use the notation. Now let me consider a general case. So whenever I know voltage, I plot the current also. So I draw the current vector now. So the convention which I am taking is, if a vector is in anti-clockwise to a existing vector, then I call it as lag. So this is the standard convention followed in electrical engineering. Okay, so in a motor, basically current lags voltage. Okay, this is in case of AC motor, especially in case of induction motor. But in synchronous motor, both cases are possible. Current can lead the voltage, current can lag the voltage, current can also be in phase with the voltage. But for simplicity, we will consider a case where current lags the voltage. So I'll draw a current waveform, current phasor now, which is lagging this vector v by some angle. Okay, which is lagging this vector v by some angle. So I'll call this as IA now. This is the armature current. Now usually whenever we are considering AC circuits, the angle between voltage and current is called as power factor angle, and we usually denote it by a symbol phi, correct? So this angle I'll denote it by the same symbol, what we call it as phi. So phi is the angle between voltage and current. So cos phi gives us the power factor of the system now. Okay, so the next term what we have is IaRa. So now IaRa is the term which is a voltage drop in the resistor. Current multiplied by resistance gives us the voltage drop. Okay, so this IR drop. So this IR drop in a resistor, the voltage and current both are in phase. So this vector IaRa should be in phase with Ia. Okay, so the vector IaRa should be in phase with the Ia. Now usually the armature resistance of any synchronous motor will be less than 1 ohms. Practically it will be less than 1 ohm. So I am taking a value of R which is less than 1 ohm and I am multiplying it to some value of current. So this is a scalar multiplication of a vector, and obviously IaRa should be less than Ia. So I draw the vector IaRa somewhere here. Okay, it is in phase with Ia. The vector should be in phase with Ia and it should be smaller than vector Ia. So now I have got the vector IaRa. So all the vectors I am drawing at the origin because that is the point of reference. From there we can shift the vectors wherever we want as per our convenience. Now from V vector I want to subtract IaRa. Now if I shift this vector IaRa directly to the end point of vector V, then what I will be doing is I am adding it, I am not subtracting it. So to subtract this, what shall I do? To subtract this, I have to draw the vector IaRa in the opposite direction of original vector. So I am drawing it in the opposite direction now. So IaRa is the voltage drop in the resistance. It should be in phase with Ia, because in a resistor voltage and current are in phase. Now from that IaRa vector, I reverse its direction, I get minus IaRa. Now we will see what is this IaXs. So I into X is a reactive voltage drop. So this is the voltage drop across the inductor, the fictitious inductor which is present in the armature windings. So that voltage drop, it is denoted by IaXs. Now in a inductor, current lags voltage. Okay, in the inductor current lags voltage. That means the voltage of the inductor should lead its current by 90 degrees. So in a pure inductor, the term IaXs, that is this voltage drop, will lead Ia by 90 degree. So I want to draw IaXs now. It is a current, it is a drop which leads Ia by 90 degree. Okay, so Ia vector is here. Lag means I have to draw in this direction. So I want this vector to lead, so I will draw it here. So this becomes IaXs now. Okay, so this vector is IaXs, but I want minus IaXs. Okay, so this vector will be IaXs, but instead of IaXs, I want minus IaXs. So I will reverse its direction. So I will just take that vector and draw it in the opposite direction. This will give me minus IaXs, and this vector I have to shift it to a point after the vector IaRa. I can reverse these vectors, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so minus IaRa IaXs, because how I get the resultant? From a V I subtract IaRa, from that I subtract Ia j IaXs. Okay, so this j term also gives us the indication about this 90 degree lead and lag. Okay, so minus j IaXs. So this vector is here now. So this vector I will shift it to the point where I have IaRa. Okay, so the vector what I get here is minus IaXs. Now from a vector equation, voltage equation, how to draw the resultant vector? So to get the resultant vector, we started from vector V and ended at vector JIaXs. So the starting point of the first vector and ending point of the last vector gives us the resultant. So this is the importance of phasor diagram. So let me select some other color now for using vector E, or what we call it as EF. So EF is equal to V minus IaRa minus j IaXs. So V minus IaRa minus j IaXs. So in phasor diagram I am not writing j, because it indicates that already lagging or leading by 90 degrees. Okay, so this vector E will be here. So we will call it as EF, which is the counter force. Now it is possible to draw this phasor diagram by taking EF also as the reference, but there we don't know what is the relation between V and we don't know the relation between EF and Ia, so it will be little bit difficult to draw it. Okay, so now what happens? Now we find that EF is lagging vector V by some angle. What is that angle? That we have to see. So the lagging of this vector EF with V, So this angle, okay, this angle is called as delta. So delta is called as the load angle. So as the load on the synchronous motor increases, this angle will also increase. So delta is called as a load angle. Okay. So this is the phasor diagram for non-salient pole synchronous motor with the lagging power factor. Okay, so what we have done, we have taken it for lagging power factor. Now we made an assumption that current lags the voltage in synchronous motor, but in previous video we have seen that synchronous motor can operate in any power factor range. It can operate as a lagging, it can operate as a unity power factor, it can also operate as a leading power factor. So how to draw the phasor diagram for leading and unity power factor now? That also let us see. So I will be drawing those phasor diagrams very quickly. You kindly follow it up with me. So I will be doing it for unity power factor now. So in unity power factor, the voltage and current will be in phase with the each other. Okay, so the first vector what I take is vector V. I'll not mention the terminologies now. So vector, as far as possible, I will try to follow the same colors. Okay, so vector IA should be in phase with the vector V. So I will draw it here. Vector IARA also should be in phase with the IA, but it should be less than the magnitude of Ia because resistance is less than 1 ohms. So vector IARA will be here. Now I want vector minus IARA. So I reverse the direction and I want it to subtract from V. Okay, so vector IARA, I am representing it here. Next vector is minus IAXS. So IAXS vector will lead the IA by 90 degrees. Okay, IAXX vector will lead IA by 90 degrees. So minus IAXS will lag by 90 degrees. So I have IAXS, but I want it after IARA. So I shift that vector here where I have IARA. Okay. So if we draw with the equal scales, each and every vector, that is whatever scales we have considered here, same scale if we consider, then we observe that the resultant vector delta angle E at an angle delta EF, okay, what we get will be from this point to this point. So here phi is delta increased. Okay, so the load angle has increased. That also let us verify. So this is for the case of unity power factor. The next case what we have to draw is for leading power factor. So in the leading power factor, IA leads vector V by some angle. IA should lead now, not lag. Okay, if IA is leading vector E, then IARA should be in phase with IA. Okay, IARA vector should be in phase with IA, but minus IARA will be opposing. So this will be minus IA RA. From there we get minus IA XS. So observe this vector carefully. The position of this vector is something like this. Okay, and from this we have to draw vector V, vector E, and this resultant vector E, what we get will be from the end point of V, starting point of V to the end point of E. Okay, so draw these vectors properly. So this is how the phasor diagram looks for lagging power factor, unity power factor, and leading power factor. So each and every case there is a delta present. So EF and V, between EF and V there is always a phase difference, and this phase difference is called as load angle or the torque angle. Okay, so I hope these phasor diagrams are clearer to you. So try practicing these diagrams properly and use the basic concepts, where is what is lagging and what is leading. So I'll repeat the conventions. So if it is anti-clockwise, okay, so I have vector V here and I go in anti-clockwise direction, I meet vector I, then it is lag. I have vector V here and I go in clockwise direction, I meet vector I here, it is lead. In inductor, current lags, so voltage has to lead. So IA excess is not current, IA excess is voltage drop. So this voltage drop will lead IA. So IA excess will lead IA and minus IA excess will be 180 degree phase shifted. IA RA should be in phase with IA. Minus IA RA will be 180 degree phase shifted. So these are the pointer diagram. So understand this phasor diagram properly. So next we shall look at the equivalent circuit of a salient pole machine. So before having a look at the equivalent circuit, let us see its construction once again. So let us recall it. Salient pole is a protruding structure from the center towards the periphery radially. Now we observe that air gap here is less and here the air gap is more. This leads to the non-uniform flux distribution. So as a result, the flux wherever the salient pole is present will be stronger, and hence if the magnetic field is stronger, the inductance will be stronger, and wherever the magnetic field is weak, okay, where field is minimum, there the flux will be weaker. As a result, inductance will be less or inductive reactance will be different, and also it will be out of phase. Now vector axis of this, wherever the flux is very strong, we call it as a direct axis flux, and the axis where the flux is weak, we call it as quadrature axis. Now mechanically this looks like the angle is 45 degree, but electrically it will be 90 degree. The direct axis flux and quadrature axis flux will always be 90 degree electrical to each other. The mechanical angle depends on number of poles, but in a two pole, electrical angle and mechanical angles are same. So these concepts I hope you have studied while learning about alternators. Okay, so now what happens for the equivalent circuit of a salient pole machine? The equivalent circuit remains same, but this reactance, which is called as a synchronous reactance, will be a vector sum of direct axis quadrature reactance and quadrature axis reactance. Okay, so direct axis quadrature reactance and quadrature axis reactance we have considered. Now V is equal to EF plus IA RA, and direct axis reactance So there is a equivalent current for it. Okay, id and quadrature axis reactance, so there is a equivalent current for it, which is quadrature axis current, which is iq. Now what is this id and iq? So id is the current which is in phase with the magnetic field, and iq is the current which is 90 degree to the magnetic field. Now these equation, with the help of these equation, we have to draw the phasor diagrams. Okay, so now if we take V as the reference, if we take EF like previous case, if we take V, then it will not be possible for us to draw this ID and IQ. Okay, so it will not be possible for us to draw ID and IQ. So instead we will take EF as the reference now, and from there we reconstruct V. So that is why the equation is not rearranged, it is written in the original form. So we take EF as the reference, arbitrarily we decide a position for IA. Okay, and from there we proceed towards all other vectors, and thus we arrive at E, because here we don't know what are these terms ID and IQ, that we have to draw it. Okay, so let us have a look at phasor diagram. So I'll be drawing this. So I have a reference equation here. So as the first step, we will draw a reference vector. So this reference vector, I am considering it as EF. So I'll draw it here. So this vector is now EF. Okay. So now I have to draw vector I. So vector I, so I will consider it for lagging power factor. So I will take some arbitrary direction. I assume that later I will arrive at the same point. Okay. So I will consider this position. If not, I will have to alter the diagram later, because I don't know where is V. So V should be somewhere here. So I am assuming that current is lagging now. Okay, so with that factor I am drawing this. Now this IA vector can be resolved into two components. Okay, so this IA vector can be resolved into two components. So let us resolve it into two components as it is. So one will be here, that is one on the axis, other on the other axis. So I will resolve this vector IA into two components, one on the existing axis, the other vector in 90 degree. So I have adjacent side and the opposite side of vector IA now. Okay, so vector IA is resolved into two components now. Now flux and current will be usually 90 degree to each other. So that means this current is direct axis current, and the current which is in phase with the EMF which is produced. Okay, so that is called as quadrature axis current. So this is how we resolve ID and IQ. We need this ID and IQ because later we want ID XD and IQ XQ. Okay, so we have vector E now, we have vector IA, we have vector ID, we also have vector IQ, and here we have to see what are the terms associated. So now I want to draw vector IARA. IARA is a vector which is in phase with IA but smaller in magnitude than IA. Okay, smaller in magnitude compared to IA. So this vector is added with the vector E. So I have vector E, add IA RA to it. So it will be in phase. So now I am not considering minus because I have not used the older equations. I am using the original equations here. Okay, since we are using original equations, we have to stick to it. So I am drawing a vector IARA which is smaller than I and which is in phase with the IA. Okay, so this vector what I have drawn now will be IARA. Next, for this vector I have to add IDXD and J, so which is 90 degree. Now first this IDXD vector is a voltage drop and JIDXD indicates it will be 90 degree angle to ID. Okay, so ID vector is here and I want JIDXD. So IDXD is a voltage drop and voltage leads current in the inductor. So now I want a vector IDXD which is leading vector ID by 90 degrees. So I want a vector IDXD which is leading by 90 degrees. Vector ID is here. So if I go in anti-clockwise direction, I get leading phenomena. If I go in clockwise direction, I get lagging phenomena. Okay, so I have vector IDXD here. Okay, so this is the vector IDXD, JIDXD, and it is plus. I am not taking minus, so that vector will be here. Then I have to see what is this vector IQXQ. So IQ is here. So IQXQ is a voltage drop. JIQXQ should lead this by 90 degree. So this will lead here and it should be added with the JIDXD. So this will be JIDXD and this is the we have got the starting point and ending points of the vectors now. So we have got the starting point and ending point of the equation. So from the starting point, if I join the ending point, what vector I get here is vector V. So let me rearrange those points here. So I have vector V, I have vector IA, vector ID and IQ. EF was taken as reference. IARA is a vector which is in phase with I. Then I took IDXD which is in quadrature to ID. Then I have a vector IQ XQ which should lead IQ by 90 degrees. So which is leading IQ by 90 degrees. So this is the vector we have. So this is the phasor diagram what we get. So we have not drawn two angles here now. So let us draw those two angles as well. So and current, angle between voltage and current is called as power factor angle and it is denoted by phi. Next the angle between V and E. Okay, the angle between V and E is called as load angle. Angle between V and E is called as a load angle and it is denoted by the term delta. So it is denoted by the term delta. So this is a phasor diagram of salient pole synchronous machine considering lagging power factor. As usual, I have to draw it for unity power factor and leading power factor also. But this particular phasor diagram, we will be starting with vector E instead of vector V. So it will not be possible for us without knowing vector V to draw it for a unity power factor. So instead of unity power factor, let us draw it for leading power factor now. Okay, so let us draw it for leading power factor. So I will take vector E as the reference. I have to take vector IA as well. So it is leading, so I will consider somewhere here. So if this is vector I, then I have to consider vector IA RA also. So vector IA RA should be in phase with the vector I and should be smaller in size. Okay, should be in phase with IA. I should be in phase with IA and IA RA should be smaller in size. To this IA RA, I add ID and XD. Now what is ID? What is IQ? That we have to understand. So IQ is in phase with EF. So ID vector will be here now. Okay, in the positive y-axis, ID vector will be somewhere here. So this will be vector ID. So this will be vector ID. So I will complete the phasor diagram. So I have to add ID, XD, then IQ, XQ. So ID, XD should be leading ID by 90 degrees. So ID is here. Leading means I have to go anti-clockwise. So ID, XD will be in this particular direction. So direction will be reversed now for ID, XD. Okay, so it will be almost parallel to the vector E, but it will be in a different direction. So ID, XD will be here. Then I have to draw IQ, XQ. IQ, XQ will be here. So I draw IQ, XQ. At last, what I have to draw is I have to draw vector E. So vector E, I have to start from the starting point and terminate it at the ending point. So vector I, what we have initially drawn, is a leading vector V now, and V EA is lagging V. So this will be the phasor diagram for leading power factor. So recall this concept properly, understand the basics, see the equation, remember the equation, and try practicing these phasor diagrams without looking at these slides, and refer the slide back and see what are the mistakes you have done. So this is a very important concept, usually asked in the exam, and it is important for everyone to learn this as early as possible. So without understanding these phasor diagrams, it will not be possible for us to be in synchronization with the next topic. So before the next topics are released, each and every viewer here is supposed to practice these phasor diagrams, and it should be ready at your fingertips. Okay, so that's all we have got for today. Subscribe to notifications instantly, and also don't forget to subscribe to our sister channel Saha Adhyayana. Thank you.